They bullied a girl named Candy Corn, and then the entire town vanished. My grandfather used to say our town didn't die, it was murdered. Murdered on the same stormy October night that Zora Kovač was born. If you ever find yourself lost in the forgotten parts of upstate, you might stumble across our ghost. A town called Havenwood. You'll know it by the silence. And up on Hemlock Hill, you'll see the house. A gray, skeletal thing with broken windows like vacant eyes. The yard is a grave of weeds and thistle, choking a single, lightning-blackened oak. That was their house. It belonged to Lev and Anya Kovač, and people said they were good folks before the baby. But she was born late, on a night when the sky was bruised purple and the wind screamed like a dying animal. The story goes that just as Anya gave her final push, lightning split that old oak clean in two. And at the exact stroke of midnight, Zora came into the world. Too quiet. Too quiet. You know how some kids are just... Zora was a magnet for other things. Crows. Dozens of them would perch on the fence whenever she was in the yard, a silent, black jury. They never made a sound, just watched her with their little bead eyes. It wasn't normal. I remember her from school. She was this pale, still thing with hair the color of dead leaves. She wore these weird homemade dresses, always in shades of orange and yellow. Most kids just left her alone, but not Cassian. He was a mean little bastard. One day at recess, he cornered her by the old swings, called her Candy Corn Witch, and ripped the sleeve of her dress. He laughed, real proud of himself. Zora didn't cry. She didn't even flinch. She just looked at him, looked right through him. I was there, I saw it. Her eyes were empty. Later that night, the town bonfire for the Harvest Festival got out of control. Cassian, who'd been bragging all day, tripped near the edge. He fell in. They got him out, but not before. Well, he and his family moved away a month later. Nobody ever proved a thing, but after that, kids didn't just avoid Zora. They feared her. By the time she was a teenager, her parents were ghosts. Lev, her father, just vanished one day. They found his truck by the quarry, keys in the ignition, but he was gone. Committed, some said. Ran away, said others. Anya, her mother, you'd see her in town sometimes, clutching a rosary so tight her knuckles were white, muttering to herself. Her eyes were always wide, always scanning the shadows. Then one day, she was gone too, taken to a quiet place upstate with soft walls and locked doors. The whole town blamed the girl. We just knew. Zora lived alone up on that hill. The house started to sag, the paint peeling like sunburnt skin. That's when people started seeing things. Not just seeing, but feeling. Mr. Gable, who lived on the edge of town, swore he saw figures moving in the woods around her property at dusk. Not people. Something else. They were long, he'd say, his hand shaking so bad he'd spill his coffee. Too long. And they didn't walk right. He said they looked like burnt matches, all thin and black, and they'd just stand there, at the tree line, watching the Kovač house. The whispers in town got louder, uglier. Fear was turning sour, curdling into something mean. They talked about it at the diner, at the post office, their voices low and sharp. Finally, they decided something had to be done. They sent Father Theodore. He was a practical man, didn't believe in local superstitions. She is a troubled, lonely child of God, he announced to the nervous congregation. I will speak with her. I will quell this hysteria. He walked up that hill the next afternoon, his Bible tucked under his arm. We watched him go. He knocked on the door. It opened. He went inside. He was in there for maybe 15 minutes. When he came back out, his hair, which had been jet black, was the color of bone. He didn't speak. He didn't look at any of the people waiting for him at the bottom of the hill. He just walked, stiff-legged, to his car, got in, and drove away. We never saw him again. His car was found a week later, abandoned on a highway 3 states over. That was the breaking point. The fear was a living thing now, a poison in the town's well. A mob is a funny thing. It isn't made of people, not really. It's made of pure, terrified rage. 30, maybe 40 of them gathered at the base of the hill. My own father was one of them, his face tight, a bottle of whiskey in one hand and a tire iron in the other. He grabbed my arm. "You need to see this," he slurred. "You need to see us take our town back." We marched up that hill. The air got cold, heavy. The wind picked up, but it didn't sound like wind. It sounded like whispers, and it smelled wrong. Sickly sweet, like burnt sugar and wet dirt. Someone screamed, "Come on out, witch. Your time is up." There was no answer. So a kid, one of the older boys, threw a rock. It smashed through the front window. The silence that followed was worse than any scream. Then, from inside the house, a low hum started, a vibration you felt in your teeth, and the front door creaked open. Zora was standing there in the doorway. She wasn't angry, she wasn't scared. Her face was a blank mask, and from behind her, a sickly green light began to pulse. That's when the things Mr. Gable saw, the long, black things, detached themselves from the trees. They flowed out of the woods like smoke, silent and fast. I saw one of them reach my neighbor, Mr. Clark. It didn't grab him, it just touched him, and he folded. He just collapsed in on himself like a paper bag, turning to dust and cloth on the ground. Panic. Pure animal panic. People screamed and ran, stumbling over each other in the dark. My father grabbed me, his drunkenness gone, and he fucking ran. He dragged me down that hill so fast my feet barely touched the ground. I risked one look back. Zora was still standing in the doorway, bathed in that awful green light, just watching us go. Within a week, Havenwood was empty. We were among the last to leave. We packed what we could, and we never looked back. They say the town is empty now, that the house on the hill is just a ruin. You might want to go see for yourself. But listen to me. Whatever happened to Zora Kovač, whatever she became, I promise you, she's still there. Sometimes, on a cold October night when the wind is just right, I swear I can still smell it on the air. Burnt sugar and damp earth. And I know she's waiting. So if you find that road, if you see that broken house on the hill, for the love of God, just keep driving.